every Friday on our website. Red feather deep, here's the receiver who breaks a tackle. It's Bovine. Brantley trying to catch him. He won't. And Oklahoma City on the first play of their next drive busts it loose and they regain the lead. Are you kidding me? Tiberius Bovine once again making the big play. Unbelievable. One wide receiver either side for Mike, and Daza will flip it out to Sim, and Sim makes the play! 10-5 touchdown! The doctor is in! The Crabs have a lead! Oh, mama! There goes that man!
To the right, single receiver to the left. Dunhill to throw, has time, goes deep down left-hand side. That was complete behind the defense. They can't catch him. 10-5 touchdown. Atlanta. Boo Chisholm does it again.
Hand off to English on a first down, trying to get it around the left-hand side. Takes the long way around, but still picks up the first down. Still on his feet, down the sideline. Johnny English past the 20, 10. He scores again. Touchdown, Honolulu. On one of the craziest runs after fake punt, pass, kick, whatever I've ever seen. Unbelievable.
Mama, there goes that man.
I mean, he goes 5 yards back before he scores.
Yeah, I was going to make a comment about that, but I'll keep my comments to myself because he took this one to the house. He was blazing. 51 didn't have a shot.
So the Skyhawks having trouble on first and second down sometimes in terms of moving the chains, but they have converted on a decent amount of these third downs. I believe they've only had to punt once. Snap back, handoff to English, right up the gut. English fights his way for a first down again, and can you believe that? Johnny English, that's the second time on third down the man has just taken the ball and ran right up the gut for a first. This is a man possessed, ladies and gentlemen. He wants this Skyhawk team to succeed, and it looks like he's...
Split backs for Louis Ndula. Shot to throw. Right into Big Sexy.
Big Sexy. Another country has heard from. Oh, yeah.
He just blew right by the offensive tackle. Gave him one little move and boop, down the cornerback went.
Split receivers and offside, and Snowden's going to take the handoff. Snowden, Richard Snowden spins back inside, breaks a tackle and scores. That's going to be a touchdown, DC. How in the world did he keep his balance and move the other way?
Wow, that's well, we were just talking about it too. You know, Snowden's got that ability to break away, and had he had more field there, he was definitely able to keep going. You know, he goes through the whole guy, doesn't have a whole lot of room there. One guy misses a tackle, he spins on him another, and shakes off that one right down there at the end and is able to get in there. So DC is shown early on. They set the pace with the first touchdown, and then they come and they answer back with a great drive there.
Walker's deep pass is picked off. That's interception number 3 on the night. Eddie Gage gets up and returns it to the 34. How about Baltimore's defense against Kevin Walker? He did not throw 3 interceptions all of last season in any game. And only 2 times in his career has Walker thrown at least 3. These two defenses right now canceling each other out. Showing a blitz up the middle, they bring it, Bentley running right into it, Bentley gets away from it, Bentley's got a first down, breaks a tackle, Ray Bentley, he's gone, and the Aztecs are gonna score and get on the board. Welcome to the game, Ray Bentley. And the Aztecs are right back in it just like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've been waiting all weekend for this one because you know what time it is. It's time for a border battle! Number 2 between the Sioux Falls Sparrows and the Minnesota Legend. This time, we're in the great state, the land of 10,000 lakes, Minnesota. Hello, folks. I'm Tyler Falk. Welcome to Northwood Stadium here in St. Paul, Minnesota, where the temperature in Fahrenheit is the same as the number of losses that the Minnesota Legend have. It's exactly 0 here in the great state of Minnesota. And partner Brett Killian, we live for this. We have grown up in this, and we cannot wait. Everyone on the field is wearing minimal sleeves out there. They're rough and tumble. They know what to expect. What are you expecting from these two teams tonight?
Frostbite, maybe a couple of frozen toes, and every now and again, 0 degrees Fahrenheit is like feeling you're in an ice age right now. But this is probably the biggest game of the week because this is going to determine how this Central Division is going to square off, because we've seen Tulsa win. We've seen Indianapolis win. If Minnesota loses, we've got ourselves a 4-way tie for first in that division. That's crazy. We're going to have ourselves a great border battle here, Tyler.
At 2-1, and the biggest surprise, of course, in the last block, Tulsa getting their first win ever versus Florida, and Florida going to 0-3 for the first time since season 15. But it's time to get things rolling here. Last time these two teams met, the only other time, it was a 2-point ball game. What will this one bring us, as here we go? Sioux Falls will get us going by A.J. Levy on the return, who had a kick return touchdown last week versus the Revolution. He gets this one to the 26-yard line, and so we'll see Julian Tyree come out for his first possession under center, the 15-season quarterback.
And we're going to see ourselves a pass-heavy offense in the Sioux Falls Sparrows. Julian Tyree almost attempting 50 passes per game so far in these two games. 98 attempts at passes so far.
But backfield, Tyree will look to throw here on the first play, going for it all. That's a great pass to get things started here as he'll find K. Marion.
Yeah, that's an easy way to get things started if you're Sioux Falls. You go with the reliable deep option in K. Marion, and she's having herself just, a standard season so far. She's already at 100 yards per game so far, 205 and 2 touchdowns to her name so far.
Beating the team in both categories, to no one's surprise. 3 wide receivers here on this first down. Tyree again over the middle. It will find another receiver, this time Noe Terrazas, and they are slicing their way down the field. 2 big passes to open up the ball game.
Yeah, they're kind of shocking Minnesota's defense here right away, which is, fairly good against the pass so far this season. 285 passing yards allowed, good for about middle of the road, but they got to be better against this Sioux Falls team.
Their I formation, this time a screen pass to the tailback, Jason Williams, and Mason will get about 6 yards and eventually taken down as we introduce you to the rest of that Sparrows offense. Of course, we talked about Tyree and Williams, quarterback and halfback. Charlemagne Cornelius is the fullback. Michael Knight, A.J. Warren, and Noe Terrazas alongside K. Marion are the wideouts, with Ben Harrison, a Week 2 signing, at tight end. And on the line, leading the way in the trenches, is Adrian Marlowe at left tackle. 4 wide here for the Sparrows, 3 bunched near side. It'll be a swing pass to Jason Williams out of the backfield. That'll be good enough for a Sioux Falls first down as he's taken down by Daniel Wright.
And this is what Sioux Falls likes to do with Thrilliums, Jason Williams here, as he's kind of almost 50-50 in terms of receptions to carries here. He doesn't carry the ball a lot, although he does pretty well with it, 5.1 yards per carry. But he's second in this league, tied with another Minnesota player. We can get to that later at 21 receptions.
5th pass of the ball game. It's a 3rd straight swing pass, and out to the right side goes Williams, and Williams is inside the 10 for another first down, inside the 5, in fact, to the 4.
And what makes Jason Williams such this dynamic option as a two-way kind of back is that he has a great burst of speed after he catches that football, which is why Sioux Falls has gone with the passing route more often than not with Williams on those swing passes.
5 straight passes. Will we see our first carry of the ball game? We will. Through the middle, Williams, and he has stood up after gaining 2 yards as he is met by Juan Mississippi and company. That's also BJ Loveless in there as well.
Yeah, and it's going to be a big test for Sioux Falls early on because Minnesota has a pretty decent run defense as well. They're also kind of middle of the league there, but the big thing is that they hold running backs to sub 100 yards per game.
Heavy defensive set. Blitz coming. Tyree can't find anyone, and down he goes. Max Knight plants him to the turf.
And plants him like Excalibur on the setting stone there. Max Knight doing a great job kind of setting this tone here for Minnesota after they let essentially Sioux Falls easily waltz themselves to the goal line here.
Defense of Minnesota has let in 3 rushing touchdowns, stopping the run. Has been a key in practice this weekend. Tyree looking right side. They will stop Sioux Falls from getting in the end zone. The pass to the right side is for Michael Knight, but he can only get back to the original line of scrimmage, and it will be 4th down, and out comes the field goal unit.
Yeah, and you could tell Tyree was looking for Terrazas deep in the end zone. He was about in that middle right area, but he was just kept covered by 2 safeties, it looks like. So he had to go with his out route option and hope for the best, but now they're going to force a field goal out of this.
Pass coverage for the legend bent, but didn't break. All told here in the end zone, and Sioux Falls have to settle for 3 points. The kick from Zashto Black is up and good, and Sioux Falls takes an early lead here on the road. We are just getting started here in Border Battle number 2. That 9-play drive took 66 yards. Tyree was 6 of 6 passing on the drive, and it started right around 11 minutes. So that took off about, if I do my math right, 3.5 minutes off the clock. Return from the legend. It's all the way up to the 21-yard line. That is Adam Banks. Now we'll see one of the biggest underrated stories, I think, for a lot of these quarterbacks coming in today's ballgame. Partner Johnny Reno is cooking.
Yeah, he's probably the most exciting quarterback through these first 2 games so far. Get this, only 6 incompletions through the first 2 games, 92% completion percentage. Unreal.
He'll give off to Colin Hart. First play for Colin Hart. 1 man to beat. He will get past.
Play.
Hart against his former team takes it 79 yards.
And while Johnny Reno has had a fantastic start to this season, we can never forget about Colin Hart, a man who can run himself all the way to the end zone if he wants. All heart from Colin Hart to start off Minnesota's day offensively here. 1 play is all Minnesota needs to get back that field goal and then some. 6-3 for the Legends.
And they have been doing plays like that early and often this season. The offense looks so good. And Colin Hart just showing us a tasty little sliver of what the Legend have been up to so far this very young season. On comes Mickey Malillo to try and tack home the extra point, which he nails effortlessly. And it's 7-3 Legend. If you're new to the SFL, the Simulation Football League combines traditional sports, esports, and a role-playing game into one. Team strategies are being executed in real time by our simulations as real-life players compete on the virtual gridiron. For more information about the SFL, visit our website at simulationfl.net. The SFL, we put the fan in fantasy. And Malillo puts his boot through the ball, and we're underway again. Levy only get to the 23 this time on the return, and now with the offense turn, they've only had a short break on the sideline all told, and so we'll see how much rest they got and how well they come out here on their second drive.
And these two teams are, swinging for the fences early in this game. And this is why we were excited to start things off. These are two of the hottest teams in this league. Minnesota's won 6 of their last 8 games heading back to last season. Sioux Falls, 6 of their last 9.
Step drop, 4th swing pass of the ball game to Jason Williams today, and it results in about 7 yards. And let's introduce you to that legend defense. On the line for the Legend is Angela Meerkat, Mark Mello, Buster Johnson, and Max Knight. At linebacker, it's BJ Lovelace, Axel Raven, and Juan, Mississippi. At corner, Cody Griffin and Johnny Bravo, one of the 2 most dynamic corners in the Midwest. And we've got a quartet of safeties: Rick Evans, Daniel Wright, Tega Clay, and Derek Meerkat. Power I run for Williams, right side. He gets a couple of nice blocks, and here goes Williams all the way down to the 45.
Something tells me is that we're going to see a hot running battle between these 2 elite running backs in Jason Williams and Colin Hart. It's starting to set it that way now. Sioux Falls saw on the sidelines offensively that, Colin Hart's got some legs in him. Why not give, Jason Williams a couple more carries here, whether it be through the air or on the ground?
Now they'll pack everybody in tight on this first down. Quick drop for Tyree. Has time, has to dump it off, and a nice little spin move to get a little bit of extra yardage. That'll be 5 yards all told for Portis.
Yeah, not a bad option there. Tyree kind of looking for his options. Minnesota doing a good job defending the deep ball, so Tyree had to go with his check down option. And Portis did a pretty good job with that spin move to get himself a couple extra yards on that too.
Another split back look here for the Sparrows. They go with a run with Williams up the middle. He can only thrill 1 yard out of it, but he does cross midfield.
Yeah, and the one thing that I would say maybe needs to be improved on in Minnesota's defense is that, that pass rush and that running game that they play against kind of thing, because there can be times where running backs can, break off for 20 yards, and Minnesota needs to shut down Jason Williams when they can.
Wide receivers. They're on 3rd down. Quick drop from Tyree over the middle, knocked aside by Lovelace. And that'll see our first punt to the ball game.
Yeah, it's good work there from BJ Lovelace just to get his arms out, just to reach for that football, seeing that he was a little bit out of motion as well, seeing the double cross route happening. It was going to be either to Noe Terrazas or Kay Marion, just looking for that quick first down. And when you have that coverage, it's not about, trying to get to the receiver, it's trying to get to the ball, and it's great work from Lovelace there.
Here comes Sammy Prefontaine, who will stand right around his 35-yard line to send this one on its way. Back deep to return is Adam Banks. Bunts away, no problem. Adam will elect to try and make a return on this one. Makes a shoulder charge for a few extra yards. Gets all the way back to the 17-yard line. Now as we reintroduce Minnesota's offense, they only had 16 seconds on the Colin Hart run last time, partner. So maybe we get to talk about Johnny Reno for maybe more than just a few seconds.
79 yards the last time on that one run. Do you think Colin Hart has a way to get 83 on this?
We'll see. We'll see if they go his direction. They're on 1st down. Reno will look to throw, pops it over the middle, and that is caught by Jay Taylor. Good enough for 6 yards. And let's meet the rest of this legend offensive crew, shall we? Of course, we've talked about Reno, and no doubt I've mentioned Colin Hart maybe once or twice, but Chris Comisac is the fullback. Buchanan Simons, Queg Nam, Jay Taylor, and Adam Banks are the wide receivers. 2 standout tight ends, Christian Bachagalupe and Jason Grants. That's your Minnesota offensive starters. Forward to run up the middle for Comisac, and Comisac can scrounge 2 yards out of it before he's brought down by Jay Ringgold and company. 3rd down.
Man, I love Chris Comisac as a player. Not only is he a good blocking fullback, but he can run the ball, and he's probably one of the best fullbacks in this league that can run a route and get himself some catches too.
Short yardage situation here for the legend. Quick drop, out route left side, and that's quick and efficient for Taylor, and that will pick up Minnesota's first down of the ball game.
And you want to know how Johnny Reno has, kept his completion percentage so high through the first 2 games? It's stuff like this. He doesn't have to do anything pretty through the first, quarter and a half in this game. He just wants to set this tone to see what Sioux Falls gives him before he starts throwing it deep and then he starts sending bombs towards the defense's way.
Out here in a power eye, go Colin Hart, who has got a couple more blockers. Colin Hart
man.
is loose again down the sideline. 40, 30, and finally taken down at the 27. Colin Hart is laying the smackdown on the Sparrows.
Has any running back ever got to 100 yards hardly halfway into this first quarter in so few carries? This man is just on a mission today. He's got some chip on his shoulder. I don't know what it is exactly. Maybe it's against his former team. That's just enough for him to keep moving. But 136 through 2 carries. How in the heck?
The last one is 57. He is all or nothing, Mr. Hart. And we haven't even seen nothing just yet as Adam Banks gets the next pass over the middle from Reno, and check that. It's actually Buchanan Simons. Nonetheless, Minnesota in the red zone.
Man, while we're gushing about Colin Hart, we have to think about this great quartet of receivers that Minnesota has, including Buchanan Simons, a guy that I've talked about a lot over the last couple seasons of how he is such a dark horse receiver, and now he's getting a chance in Minnesota to show off his abilities, and right now, that's a great catch.
Bunch set left side. Here from the 12-yard line. Reno looking near side this time. Finds Jason France, and France will pick up a couple yards, make it 7 all told before he's dragged down by Derek Williams.
Hey, you want to know the other guy that's tied for second in the league coming into this week in receptions? It's that man right there, Jason France. He has been the main benefactor to Johnny Reno's offensive power, and right now he's getting back to where he left off.
Stands as the flex tight end off the left side of the formation. Komisak through the middle, fullback time, it works! Touchdown, Minnesota!
And man, these big plays that Minnesota has been repping out in this first quarter have just deflated the Sioux Falls defense to the point where a Chris Komisak run from 3 yards out was just too easy. Nobody touched him until after the end zone line, and Minnesota offensively, they are back to where they left off last week. Put 13 now on the board for the legend.
Second rushing touchdown of the season, only his 5th in his 6th-season career. And now it's bound the leg of Malillo to tack home the extra point. Snap spot kick is up and good. And that will put Minnesota up 14-3. Which, by the way, partner, Minnesota only had 14 points in the last meeting, in their only other meeting with these two franchises. They already have that in the first quarter.
Yeah, and you have to think of just how, just a shift in offensive philosophy that Minnesota's gone through just over the course of this past season here. They were maybe middle of the road team offensively, but last season, but right now they are tops in this league, no doubt about it.
Crazy stat, Minnesota averaging 22 yards on offensive play. Just downright unstoppable at the moment as Levy gets it all the way to the 25-yard line, and now the offense. I mean, if we're talking about a shootout, partner, right now, Sioux Falls needs to reload or refire, do something to catch up to Minnesota.
And you know what? I think it's just all in the arms of Julian Tyree at this point. He's 8 of 9 so far. He's done his job. Now he's got to get his other receivers involved.
Done a lot of swing passes so far early on. They go with a run up the middle for Williams, and Williams picks up 2.
There, and you can see the comparisons just between the two running backs so far. And Colin Hart's done all of that on just 2 carries, while Jason Williams has had double of that, and it seems like he's doing okay. You can't do okay against a running back that is like on another dimension right now.
Just a little over 100 yards more from Colin Hart compared to Williams. Screen pass right side for Williams, and Williams cannot spin out of that tackle. Excellent closing speed and great tackling there for Minnesota. That's Tigger Clay on the outside, and it brings up a 3rd and long.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier, partner, that the swing pass, maybe not to go that route all too often. With that, as much as Tyree has been successful in the passing offense so far, it might be to be looking deep at Marion.
Tyree over the middle, nearly picked off by the streaking safety, Derek Meerkat. And again, Sioux Falls will go 3 and out.
Yeah, and Derek Meerkat has had one heck of a season so far. He's been a part of many key tackles in this season. I believe he has 2 interceptions to this season as well. Only one of 6 players so far that have 2 or more interceptions through these first 2 games. So he's an elite company to start things off for the Legend too.
Here comes Prefontaine to punt this one away once more. Second punt of the ball game is just as good. Adam Banks tries to spin around, and he's eventually taken down at his own 41-yard line. And let's introduce you quickly to that Sioux Falls defense. They've had to handle a lot tonight already. We'll see if they can recover. Darius Hawkins, James Kelly, Mike Wagoner, and Johnny Van Man, the lineman. Nick Fargo, Derek Williams, and Jason Strongbow on at the linebacker spots. John Barnhart, Nathan Barnett, and Terrell Davis at corner, with Jay Ringgold, Nana Leahy, and AJ Levy filling out the safety spots. And down goes Reno! Wow, just like that, there is Reno's first ever sack this season, and it comes via the way of James Kelly.
And we were talking about this before the game started here, Tyler, that I was questioning whether Sioux Falls could get to this quarterback in this game. They've only had 1 sack this season so far, and it came from their first game. It came from James Kelly, so why not be the man to get to Johnny Reno in this game to start things off, Mr. Kelly himself?
That's the kind of emphasis you want on defense. Maybe that helps the defense out just a little bit to start closing in on these guys. Is hard. Wow, what an explosive speed out there. Looked like the linebackers had enough to contain him, maybe only 5 yards, but instead Hart gets to the 48-yard line.
Yeah, and like you said, it's just that instant burst of speed. Watch him catch it right afterwards and just see how quickly he goes. That is a 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds kind of run from Colin Hart. He must have ate his bowl of Wheaties this morning. He's on a whole different level right now.
Line up in an offset eye here on 3rd and 4. Comisac through the middle, and here comes Chris Comisac. Another well-executed fullback dive will take us to the end of the first quarter from St. Paul, Minnesota. It's the Legend 14, the Sparrows 3. You're watching SFL Sunday Night Football here on YouTube. Welcome back to Border Battle number 2. Minnesota Legend versus the Sioux Falls Sparrows. I'm Tyler Falk, alongside Brett Killian here in the booth, Eddie Gage, and Mark Mello in the stats truck. And of course, the Commissioner Cameron Irvine back at SFL headquarters producing as Hart gets the swing pass to the right side. He picks up 7.
Man, and whenever Minnesota's been in a second down situation, which hasn't been a lot in this game so far, but when they're in second down position, there's only been maybe one occasion where they haven't had a short yardage scenario on that second down. Minnesota's been doing great offensively.
Oh, back to Hart on the ground. Hart gets up the right side, but he goes backwards for the first time tonight. Jason Strongbow has strong hands and takes him down for a loss of 2.
Yeah, and that was 2 linebackers getting involved with the defensive line to kind of smother whatever opportunity that Colin Hart had, and that's probably what they need to do from here on out, is to have 2 linebackers basically key in on Colin Hart through the rest of this game.
That was only the 3rd touch of the football on the ground for Hart, and the only one that has gone backwards. Sidearm sling over the middle, finds Jason France, and that will move the sticks.
Yeah, and that's all that Minnesota wants here. They're a pretty good team when it comes to converting their 3rd downs. They're around, top half of the league still, I would say, in this point, 14th in the league, 56%. They need to carry that a little bit forward moving here.
Tight end set, both off to the right. Dump pass, near side, Hart. He gets taken down by Derek Williams after only picking up 2. Williams, slow to get up, but does eventually pop to his feet.
Yeah, and we can kind of see Sioux Falls kind of changing things up in terms of game planning on defense here. Minnesota isn't having their, big plays already through the first couple plays here in this second quarter, and right now it's been working for Sioux Falls.
It's like Sioux Falls were going to try and play a little bump coverage, then thought better of it. Reno, pass over the middle, and that is Reno's first incompletion of the night, and it's Derek Williams who got his paw to it.
That's a pretty good one, too, because he was, again, kind of off kilter when it came to trying to swing for that pass, just as BJ Loveless on the opposite side had that pass deflection as well. But all you need is a hand in the way to try to, deflect that pass, and that's what you need to get that deflection.
Third and longest third down of the ball game so far for the Legend. They've been perfect tonight so far. Reno over the middle, that is caught, and that will move the chains again. This time it will find Adam Banks for a first down.
Yeah, and what we're seeing here from this passing game from Minnesota has been a very good, not too much spreading of the wealth, but kind of just relying on guys that can get those catches, because we've seen Buchanan Simons get a big catch earlier in this game. Adam Banks finally getting himself involved here, and both Jay Taylor and Jason France have a couple receptions to their name as well. So it's been good work from this Minnesota passing game.
Last time they were in the red zone, it was a Chris Komisak fullback dive, which took him into pay dirt. This time they go 5 wide. Reno has a little bit of time, waits for the route to cut underneath at the 10-yard line. That is hauled in by Ray Matson for 5 yards.
Yeah, and that was, again, another check down option that just was wide open, because Sioux Falls was pulling themselves back, preventing any touchdown passes, because it looked like it was going to go maybe France's way again, but this time they go with the other tight end who stayed up close and got a nice catch out of it.
They go from the West Coast school of thought to the old school of thought. Hart gets a swing pass near side, and he'll pick up 4 yards, and they again are knocking on the door.
And here's another big test here for Sioux Falls. You forced him here on a 3rd and 1 at the 6-yard line. You'd have to think defensively they might go Komisak down the middle just to get that first down. So you really have to shore up that defensive line to stop any opportunity here.
Jason France will be the tight end flexed out left into a wide receiving role as Sioux Falls come out in a 4-3 look. It will be a Colin Hart run through the middle, and for so many times we've seen him do that similar play in the yellow and black, just a hard run up the middle. He does it for the green and black this time and picks up another Minnesota first down.
And it's just a great bit of strength from Colin Hart as well, because he was basically stopped a little bit behind that first down line, and he pushed himself forward for that first down to smooth the chains to get in a goal line situation.
All right, Komisak through the middle, and Komisak has 2 touchdowns tonight!
Man, oh man, oh man. It just feels like when Komisak gets inside that 5-yard line, he can get whatever the damn way he pleases, because, again, nobody touches him until he gets to the end zone line, and it just feels like that offensive line doing all the work for Komisak right now. And there you go. 2 rushing touchdowns here for the fullback. You gotta love having a great fullback like Komisak in this league, and now he's getting richly paid for it here tonight with his 2 touchdowns.
And it has to go with this running game partner, how much success they're having just tonight. Yes, we've buffed and talked about Johnny Reno so much tonight, but the disparaging numbers in the rushing game, Minnesota 142 yards, Sioux Falls just 20. The ground game is just running rampant in St. Paul.
Hey, you want to talk about a stat line here, Tyler? Let's talk about first 2 games, only 2 rushing touchdowns from Minnesota. Tonight, they've surpassed that in 1 game.
3 all told tonight, a hat trick combined by the 2 gentlemen. Hart with a long run. Komisak now with back-to-back fullback dive touchdowns is now leading. Has it on the return. He gets to the 26-yard line. Liking the game so far, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The SFL produces over 400 events a year. There is no one else that gives you more football. Don't miss a minute of SFL or SFLM action and help the channel grow through your support. Thank you for helping the SFL reach 10 years of operation through your viewership. Here comes the Sioux Falls offense to start another drive. That one just a little wayward. It did look like, however, Kay Marion got bumped off her route just a bit.
Yeah, and I think BJ Leftless got lucky that the yellow flag wasn't thrown. There wasn't any dirty laundry, because that is almost a clear-cut case of defensive pass interference. But we'll let that be for now. Let's reset Sioux Falls, 2nd and 10.
Two of their wide receivers to the near side of the screen. That's Terrazas and Marion. I formation behind Tyree. They're on 2nd down. Swing pass near side with blockers, but Williams is closed down quickly. Meerkat and big number 32, Rick Evans, get behind the blockers and take Williams down at the line.
Yeah, that's one of those slithery badges coming in for both Meerkat and Rapid Ricky Evans here to get to Jason Williams instead of, getting blocked by some big, beefy blockers.
Sioux Falls now off to spread the field with 5 wide here on 3rd and long. Deep shot over the middle, nearly picked off by Derek Meerkat. Second bite at the cherry for Meerkat on 3rd down, but he'll force Sioux Falls off once more.
Yeah, and right now, Derek Meerkat is becoming a nightmare for the passing game, as well as any opportunity to move forward in this drive. We talked about him. It feels like throughout the entirety of these 3 plays here, he's been involved for 2 for sure. It's been tough here for Sioux Falls so far, and with Minnesota surging and scoring in bunches right now, they need to shake off whatever funk they're in right now.
On comes Sammy Prefontaine to pump this one away. And if you're wondering back at home what kind of engine we're using to use our simulations, this is a modded version of All Pro Football 2K8 SFL style. And we think it's one of the best simulation engines out there. And of course, it's put together some quite dramatic moments in SFL history. We've had walk-off field goals in championship games. We've had crazy Hail Marys. We've had so many great memories here in the SFL.
You want to talk about crazy endings? Vancouver's first franchise victory was off a walk-off safety in overtime to San Antonio back in Season 9.
Out route right side for Adam Banks to get the Minnesota drive going, and that's a 6-yard gain for the Legend. And Minnesota looking to hope that this drive also ends in a score, 3 drives, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, and right now, with an 18-point lead, Minnesota can kind of just sit back a little bit, and they can start using their traditional dink and dip kind of offense, get a couple yards here and there, tire out that defense, dominate the time of possession.
Tight ends flexed off to the right of the line. They go with Comisac up the gut, and Comisac and Hart are taking it to one of the franchises that was all about the power run a few seasons ago.
Yeah, and they had more touchdowns than they did on the ground than they did it passing just a few seasons ago, 17-15 back in Season 18. So this is kind of like getting a dose of your own medicine here.
Comisac again through the middle, and he will lean forward just enough. He out-muscles the left outside linebacker, Williams, for the first.
Yeah, and there it is, that elite strength of Chris Comisac that we've seen a lot in Queen City, now playing in Minnesota, where he's being utilized pretty much the same way, and it's paid dividends, at least in this first half.
With backfield here on a new set of downs. Reno looking right side. Banks again will jump and turn to pick up another 5 yards.
Yeah, and in the SFL, we like to call those out routes the old reliable, because whenever you need just a couple yards to either set that set of plays off, or if you want to get that first down, you go with that middle out route. That's always going to be open.
Don't always want to play too aggressive on those out routes, otherwise you end up giving up the big scores, as Banks gets it again on a second straight out route, and that'll move the chains.
Yeah, and there you go. 3 out of the last 4 plays for Minnesota has resulted in Anna Beggs on an out route catch, and this time he had plenty of space afterwards to run after the catch. The YAC sometimes you don't see on those out routes, but it paid off for them throwing early in this instance. It gets them an extra couple yards after that first down.
Our coach guru also doing stats for us, Eddie Gage, calling out the play as 50x spot. Is one of the go-to plays that Minnesota is currently running. Blacks backfield, but a nice pitch and catch over the middle will net for positive yardage and a first down for Jay Taylor.
And big credit to Jason France for just getting out of the way so that Taylor can grab that catch. You'll see on the replay, just that little bump could have caused France to potentially hit his other receiver, but he just stays out enough so that Taylor can grab the catch and move forward for another Minnesota first down.
Well, here's Sioux Falls maybe wising up to Minnesota's rushing antics. They put 8 men in the box, handoff right side Hart. It might have not been enough as Hart gets an excellent hole created for him, and he gets 8 yards.
Yeah, I don't think Colin Hart's going to be, satisfied with just the yardage that he has right now. If he had an opportunity, he probably would try to, get to the single game record if he could, try to, blast open for 350 yards himself. But a nice 8 yards after, Minnesota has been playing the passing game really well in this drive. Kind of a little bit of a misdirection here. Go with the stretch run. That really worked for them.
Second and short from just inside the 10-yard line. Sioux Falls now stack 9 men in the box. Handoff to the fullback. Comisac had to be dragged by his shoestrings down to the 3-yard line. Nick Fargo holding on for dear life.
Put 9 men, 10 men, 11 men, 26 men, 846 men in the box. It doesn't matter. Feels like Chris Comisac is going to get that first down no matter what.
Might go back to it. Come out in the same exact formation, it looks like. And Sioux Falls put less men in the box. And Chris Comisac nearly had touchdown number 3 in the first half.
And it would have been very, very interesting because it would have been 3 straight first and goals inside the 5 to Chris Comisac, and they stop him right at the 1. So he's not going to go 3 for 3 on first downs inside the 5. They're going to go 2 for 3 instead.
Offset eye behind Reno. First and 1 or second and 1, don't matter. Colin Hart into the end zone again. 4th rushing touchdown for Minnesota, and Minnesota is just demolishing Sioux Falls.
They're completely running away from this right now, and Sioux Falls has been neutralized offensively, so they can't even give a response to Minnesota right now. Complete thrashing of the first half from the legend. They could have had a better first half if you talk to Axel Raven and company.
It seems like every single time they've gone to the end zone, a Sherlock Holmes discombobulate meme just pops up just above the touchdown winner's head against Sioux Falls. 28-3, Minnesota with a commanding lead. Week 4 action kicks off Saturday with another 6-pack of SFL games, headlined by another primetime duel in Vancouver, where the Legion will host this Minnesota Legend team. Other action includes a battle for the top spot in the East Division between Jacksonville and Atlanta, plus Alamo City will go to war with DC coverage starting at 1 p.m. Eastern, only on SFL YouTube. Levy gets the call on the return, gets it to the 25-yard line. Sioux Falls might be able to run maybe a play or two before the 2-minute warning.
Yeah, and you have to think owner and head coach Jason McGee has got to be yelling at his guys at the sideline saying, wake up, Minnesota has run through you in these first 13 minutes or 23 minutes of this game. You need to start showing on the road here.
See if they can maybe bust out a big run from Jason Williams left side. No, not this time, as Max Knight combines with Axel Raven behind the line.
Yeah, and right now it feels like Minnesota has basically eliminated any possibility for Sioux Falls to get in this game.
Still, lots of time to play. 24 minutes all told left to play in this game, but when we hit the 2-minute warning, here in the first half. You're watching the SFL on YouTube. Don't go anywhere. Second and long, coming out of the 2-minute warning for the Sparrows. Tyler Falk and Brett Solberg here in the booth from St. Paul, Minnesota. Tyree looking for a deep ball, left side, got a man. First big pass of the football game for Tyree to K. Marion, and that'll hit midfield.
Yeah, and there's, one for sure thing when it comes to a Sioux Falls offense is that K. Marion is going to get herself open on 15-yard go routes or post routes or corner routes. Doesn't matter. She has that speed to break off from any defensive back that she wants to, and it just feels like an inevitability that she's going to get at least one of those catches per game.
That one went for 27 yards. Now they'll take a couple of those wideouts off the field, put 2 tight ends and the 2 backs onto the field now. Tyree, left side, caught for a couple yards. That is Miles Portis, the tight end. He'll pick up 6.
Yeah, and before that K. Marion catch earlier, Sioux Falls was looking at -2 yards in the second quarter. So this is definitely a jolt of energy that the Sparrows needed to get back both in the positive and hopefully in this game.
Only 2 drives this second quarter were 3 and outs, and this is a much welcome surprise as Williams is here to thrill, makes a couple of men miss, and gets out of bounds at the Minnesota 31.
And now he's looking like that stick of butter that the Sioux Falls uniforms look like at this point, all yellow, and he's definitely sliding past Minnesota defenders and getting those extra yards. That's what they need out of their prime time running back if they're going to continue using those swing passing plays to him. Is going to be big yards and big first downs.
59 seconds to go in the first half. Sioux Falls still have all 3 of their timeouts. They're in Zoshtel Black's field goal range already. Quick drop from Tyree over the middle. That is caught by Noe Terrazas. That'll pick up 8 yards, and Sioux Falls will hustle back to the line.
Yeah, that trips formation on the right is going to be deadly for them.
Derek Meerkat slow to get back to his strong safety spot. Tyree waits for him to get there. How nice of him. Play action, pass near side. That's caught somehow by Ben Harrison.
Man, and how close was Derek Meerkat after, given the pleasure of getting back into his position? How close was he from grabbing that interception? If it was just an inch higher, that could have been a Meerkat interception, and that could have been going Minnesota's way.
Derek Meerkat just kicking himself right now. 3 times he's had a near interception. Only 2 of them has fallen to the turf, and 1 has found its intended target. And now, 1st and 10 from the red zone for the Sparrows. Tyree, middle, caught again. That's by Terrazas. 1st and goal from the 1. Last time they were in this territory, Minnesota stop them. Can they do it again, or will Sioux Falls hit Cater? Tyree looking for
Perfect.
Jason Williams. There it is. Touchdown Sparrows. And they're back on the board.
An absolute perfect change of play on that formation with the hurry up, knowing that you had 4 receivers to go out, and the only way that they were going to probably get positive yardage on that formation was going to be a swing pass to Williams' way, and it works out for them. Finally, Sioux Falls gets on the board with a touchdown of their own.
They take a good chunk out of the 2 minutes left to go here in the first half, leaving Minnesota only with 19. The extra point is up and good. 28-10 now your score line, and now it's time for Minnesota's offense to do a little bit of hurry up.
Now, we saw it at the beginning of the game, and if there's any way to hurry up an offense, it's through Colin Hart.
Zoshtel Black will boot this one down to Adam Banks on the return with 1 foot in his own end zone. Looks near side, bounces off a couple of tacklers and gets to the 30-yard line, as we'll quickly go back to SFL headquarters and to Canada for our first game break of the night. Cam?
Thank you,
Tyler. 4 possessions, 4 scores in the battle of undefeateds between Atlanta and Vancouver. The biggest Bryant dynasty to siege Falco for 73 yards. Vancouver on the 5th possession of the game is 4 yards away from the score right now. 10-6 in the second. Back to you guys in Minnesota.
Thank you, Cam. Wonder how cold it is up in Toronto at the moment. 0 degrees at time of kickoff here. Hart makes a nice spin move. Gets to the 44. Minnesota will elect not to use any of their timeouts for now. Now they do with 3 seconds to go. They'll have one final shot at the end zone to end the half.
Perfect position for Hail Gary, but I'm not sure if Minnesota wants to, sling that rock out and, hamper any opportunity for Johnny Reno to lower his completion percentage or force him to throw his first interception of the season, knock on wood. So we'll see what happens coming in this play here with 3 ticks left.
Colin Hart will exit the field. That's a sign that they will go for the Hail Mary, or as you put it, partner, and a Hail Gary. Let's see how good Reno's arm strength is. He launches it deep into the dark sky, into coverage. There's the first interception for Johnny Reno this season, and it comes at the end of the first half. 28-10 your score. Well, not only does that the first interception, but maybe that gives Sioux Falls just that wee bit more incentive coming out of the first half, partner. This is now getting interesting.
Yeah, and there was somebody in the chat earlier that's saying that they didn't like the score seeing 28-3 at some point. That is a curseful score if anybody knows football, so maybe this could be a sign of things to come for Sioux Falls. They get to Johnny Reno on a Hail Gary pick. It's an interception is an interception nonetheless, but in this first half, it was all domination from the Minnesota run game, starting off with that fantastic 78-yard run from Colin Hart, and then it was just break you down systematically through the run game. Doesn't matter whether it be through Comisac or Hart, they're going to run you down your throats, and there you have it. 28 points, all 4 of them coming off of rushing touchdowns, a pair from Comisac, a pair from Colin Hart. That's how you see this scoreline right now, 28-10.
Okay, partner, let's talk about Sioux Falls. They got a touchdown to end the half, and they picked off the football. What does the offense need to do differently in regular time? That 2-minute drill drive, maybe you run that a couple of times, you think? Or do you just try and get the run game back going? Do you try and get Williams back involved?
It starts with eliminating a lot of those swing passes to Jason Williams, because right now it's only getting you 3 or 4 yards out of that. You can get the same thing through a stretch run to either side. So maybe eliminate that a little bit here. And yes, start throwing it to your main options. Kay Marion only has 2 receptions, but she has 49 yards out of it. That's 25 yards per reception essentially between those 2 catches. You got to trust in that speed, as well as Noe Terrazas, your main figure, and get A.J. Warren involved. He hasn't been targeted yet in this game.
So if we just take a brief look at some of the other outlying stats tonight, 2 sacks in the ball game, 1 for each side of the field, 1 for Max Knight from Minnesota, 1 for James Kelly, and of course, 1 lone interception from Nathan Barnett there to end the half. And that will bring us out of halftime and ready for the third quarter. Tyler Falk, Brett Solberg in the booth. Thanks for joining us this Sunday evening, and a special shout out and thanks to our gentlemen in the stats truck, Eddie Gage and Mark Mello. And we are set for 22 more minutes of exciting SFL football as Sioux Falls will kick it off to begin the half. And it's Adam Banks on the return, looking left side, eventually taken down by J.J. McGee, that's backup tight end at the 25-yard line. Here comes the Minnesota Legend for their first offensive possession of the half.
What Minnesota needs to do is just keep it simple. Use the acronym KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Even though a lot of these guys aren't stupid, they're probably smarter than me. In every sense, probably including chemistry class. I was awful in chemistry classes.
Here comes Comisac. Comisac is upended only after a gain of 1 by the always bulldozing Nick Fargo.
And yeah, Fargo's going to need to step up as well as the entire linebacking core. Strongbow only has one lone tackle to his name along with an assisted tackle, so we should see his name pop up more often along with that linebacking core.
Wideouts to the left in a bunch formation here for Reno on 2nd and 9. Quick drop pass near side. That's Jay Taylor turning up field and gaining extra yardage to the 44.
Yeah, check that, Jason France on that out route this time. But there you go. Minnesota's utilizing that out route so well throughout this game. We've seen Jay Taylor do it so much, or Adam Banks as well, using those out routes to its maximum capacity. And this time, going with Jason France, getting involved, getting that offense, spreading the wealth between the good receivers right now who are red hot. That's good stuff.
With another fullback dive, Comisac getting as many touches as Colin Hart, it would seem. In fact, he's got more touches than Colin Hart, partner. 10 runs for the fullback tonight.
Yeah, and Colin Hart's done all his work just through 6 carries right now, and you have to include the 5 receptions as well. So just total touches overall is 11 to 10 between these two running backs here. So great splits to shake that Sioux Falls defense.
Quick drop, shoots it over the middle. It's out of the hand still.
Oh!
It's picked off, and it's somehow squirted out of the mitts.
Man, and that might be the cold conditions coming in for, the 0 degree St. Paul, Minnesota area weather here. And you could see it right there. It looked like it was in the hands of Nick Fargo, who had the big tackle earlier on Comisac, but it just doesn't end up. Ooh, that's not a great replay to see right there from Max Knight, but not, or Johnny Van Man, I should say. But nonetheless, Sioux Falls almost had an opportunity to get a second pick from Johnny Reno in this game.
3rd and 6. Minnesota elect to trot out 5 wide receivers here on 3rd down from their own 48-yard line. Reno over the middle. That's caught. 1st down for the legend. Reno finds Queg Bam for the first.
Man, and it's so tough on those 5 receiver sets. If you have those 3 receivers on the left side go all slants, one of those receivers is bound to be open no matter what. It's usually the outside or the inside receiver. This time, the inside receiver in Quag Mam gets involved. That's his first reception of this game.
Our eye now here for the legend as the down marker flips back to 1. Blitz coming. Reno and company get out of it. Hart finds a way through here on the run for 3 yards.
Yeah, maybe went the wrong direction on that spin run because there was a clear open day. You couldn't get more open than that on the left side. He decides to cut in, and it just results in 3 yards. You got to be thinking here. Maybe Colin Hart has to slow things down a bit to see where his open lanes are.
2nd and 7. Pass left side. That is caught by Banks. That gets him all the way to a yard shy of the line to gain.
Yeah, and right now, Minnesota's done really well on these 3rd and really short situations, and I wouldn't be too surprised if it's just a run up the gut for Chris Comisac here because that's been working out for them on these 3rd and shorts.
They will come out in a power ice set. Sioux Falls trying to overload the heavy side as the line also shoots over to that side. Now all linebackers show blitz, handoff, Comisac, fumble! It's still loose, and I think Sioux Falls has it. Yes, they do!
Oh, man. This is a momentum shifter again here. This time, Comisac forced 3rd fumble forced in Minnesota's season so far, and it was just a simple secondary tackle from John Barnhart. I'm going to give him the credit on that tackle there. And it was just, hot potato. Who's going to grab that football on the ground? Sioux Falls manages to grab it, and there's a sign of life once again for the Sparrows.
Eventually, it was Derek Williams who fell on the loose football, and now it's the Sioux Falls offense who trots out to the field. Can they take the reins of this momentum train? Tyree looking right side. It is caught. Ruled a catch inbounds for Noe Terrazas.
Super, super close call there from Terrazas on that sideline. I think it's going to stay as a catch. I'm not too sure. Could be a challengeable case here for Minnesota. I think they'll just keep that red flag in their pocket for now. It's not a huge play. It's only about 10.5 yards on that reception.
Got a couple of questionable calls all throughout this weekend, including one call in Indianapolis. Oh my goodness! Mark Mello pulling double duty and steamrolling Jason Williams in the backfield.
You know, there was a saying in New York and Denver all those years ago, and it's Mello don't miss. And I think that's a perfect saying whenever Mark Mello gets himself a TFL. Mello don't miss.
Play action. Minnesota send the blitz. Caught with room to run is the fullback, Charlemagne Cornelius, and that'll pick up a Sioux Falls first down.
And we've been talking about how Chris Komisak is probably one of the best receiving fullbacks in this league. And here we are seeing the first fullback reception from the other side. Charlemagne Cornelius coming in with that slip and into a post pattern that gets him wide open for a quick catch, a good run afterwards to get that first down as well.
Now Cornelius lines up in a traditional fullback set here in the I. Tyree, swing pass near side. Williams does enough to gain 3 yards through the tough conditions.
Yeah, very tough 3 yards for Jason Williams because he had no blockers in front of him, maybe too far in front, and he had to basically just will himself to get past the line of scrimmage and push himself forward. Great job from Williams, just get those 3 yards.
One single high safety here for the Legend here on 2nd and 7. Blitz coming. Tyree just a little bit too far for K. Marion, incomplete.
Yeah, that was a laser of a pass as well, and I don't think K. Marion was just there yet, and that's a super tough throw. I like the call though, so maybe go back with that one more time. K. Marion's way here at 3rd and 7.
Northwood Stadium getting a little loud here on 3rd down, 3rd and 7 for Sioux Falls. Tyree, quick drop pressure coming, tackled from behind. Down he goes. Max Knight with his 2nd sack of the ball game, and it's 4th down.
Man, and that's not what you want to do on a 3rd down situation. I give all the fault there to Julian Tyree on that half-step drop. It felt like that just basically closed his pocket to near none, and it gave an easy opportunity for the defensive line to get to him.
That means Sammy Prefontaine will come out for the first time this half as Minnesota send the blitz, but the punt is away. Adam Banks will just let this one bounce, and it's a great recovery from the Sioux Falls hands team, all being told the punt will be down at the 5-yard line. Want in-depth statistics all season long? Visit the SFL website at simulationfl.net for info about the league and its 28 teams, and to see all the league records, team stats, player leaderboards, the rankings of the next class of SFL talent, and so much more. simulationfl.net, your home for everything SFL. First call of the drive will be, well, what do you guess? A fullback run up the middle, gains 2.
Yeah, and Minnesota still has the mentality of, slowing things down to their pace and seeing what they can get from the Sioux Falls defense, how tired they can get that Sioux Falls defense so that they can move forward and maybe get a score out of this. But right now it's a daunting task starting from 95 yards out.
With Komisak again, Komisak through 2 tackles into the 13-yard line. Chris Komisak becoming the workhorse now here in the second half.
Yeah, a lot of touches from him just in his 3rd quarter here. And again, on a 3rd and 2, don't be surprised if they go his way one more time. He's been bruising his way for first downs throughout this game, so it wouldn't be too surprising if they do it for the 3rd time in a row.
Now they come out with an I formation here on 3rd and short from their own 13-yard line. And up hard through the middle, tacking down short of the line to gain. It's Jason Strongbow who has come up with some pretty strong tackles tonight.
Yeah, and this was a big one here because you'd think maybe another run was going to happen, exactly what you thought was going to happen, but this time they go with heart instead on maybe an inside run, maybe not the one they were looking for because it stops them on 4th and inches.
After Minnesota came out and scored on their first 4 possessions, it's been interception, fumble, and punt. And Sioux Falls will start in plus territory to begin their drive.
Yeah, that's big for them too. Starting at the Minnesota 47, they can get themselves in field goal position just after a first down if they wanted to here. This is great position here for the Sparrows.
Tyree will come to the line in the gun with Terrazas and K. Marion in the wideout spots to the left. Tyree looking for Marion, left side, caught, gains of 3 on the sideline.
Yeah, not too bad of a start. Get K. Marion involved here. I believe that's her first reception in this third quarter. She's been targeted a lot through this. She hasn't gotten a catch until this point in this third quarter, so maybe get herself a little bit warmed up before tossing the deep one out.
Now under center, quick drop, dump off over the middle for the tight end, can't haul it in as Juan, Mississippi got there as the ball was arriving to knock it free.
Yeah, good decision from Mississippi. Instead of going for the football, knowing that he was behind the receiver, was just to hit him with all the weight and power that you could get from that vicinity of distance, and he basically bobbles that ball loose for the incompletion.
3rd and 7. Go into what looks to be a cover 3 look for the Legend. 5 wide receivers here for Sioux Falls. Minnesota sent 4. Tyree near side, bobbled and nearly picked up by Cody Griffin, and it's a 3 and out for Sioux Falls.
Yeah, and Daniel Wright, the free safety, was yelling at his secondary members to look alive on that 3rd and long, and it was a good call because that was your traditional deep play to K. Marion, and Cody Griffin was all over that, basically mark for mark with K. Marion on this one.
Mark for mark and step for step down the sideline and undercut the route, nearly took it away. How many times have we seen that tonight from the Minnesota secondary? As this punt will land at the 10, take a Sioux Falls hop at the 5, and down at the 4, second straight drive. Minnesota will start inside their own 10-yard line.
Yeah, and it's a good stuff from Sioux Falls, especially Sammy Prefontaine on these last 2 punts. It's close. It's a close punt situation, and there you go at the 5 and at the 4 this time, and it's great work.
To knock off Axel Raven and to ease his suspicions, Brett's everywhere. Brett's called off a couple of things. Dangerous pass near side, finds Jason France for a pickup of 7.
You know what? This might be the right route here for Minnesota because the run game didn't quite work when they were in this situation. So maybe now that they've got a little bit of breathing room after this, they kind of switch things up if they want to or keep with the pass. But it's a big start to Minnesota's offense that has started off a little bit dry here in this third quarter.
So instead of going with a run or the running game on the last drive, which couldn't get them the first, they start off with a nice pass to get a big chunk of yards. Now they might rely here on the run game as the Sioux Falls Sparrows defense plays press. And now it's a little floater near side, bobbled, still bobbled, incomplete. Oh, the fingertips still might be frozen.
Yeah, that's a tough one not to have. You had 3 guys in that area. I think it was Barnett, Ringgold, and I want to say that Terrell Davis was that 3rd guy. I couldn't see all the numbers at that time, but one of you's got to grab that interception. That is prime real estate to grab, no problem at all. But now they don't get it this time. 3rd and 3.
Offset eye behind Reno. They will look to throw. Reno pumps once over the middle, but it hits his intended target in the elbow, looking for Jay Taylor, and it's another 3 and out for Minnesota. Both teams dueling 3 and outs.
Yeah, and this one's tougher for Minnesota because they're now gonna, again, for the second straight drive, they're punting this football in their own end zone, so it's gonna give Sioux Falls great field position once again here. Now they'll determine where this punt's gonna land.
Punt is away from Ryan Platt. Fair catch called for by Levy at the 40, and he calls that in without any issue. Impact Monday heads to Houston for a tussle in the South between the Mexico City Aztecs and the Houston Headhunters. And Houston reversed the curse of last-second losses and snap their losing streak? Or will the Aztecs stroll into Jules Simeon Stadium and give their rivals further suffering? Join Cam and Irvine and Paul Sarp at 7 p.m. with This Week in the SFL pregame to recap all of what you may have missed in Week 3. Game starts at 8:15 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, and Williams gets a first down and fights off defenders all the way to the 27.
And again, another great start to the drive for Sioux Falls here, but this time it gets themselves in great field goal position here if they ever want to get to Jostel Black if all else fails. Now at the 27-yard line, this is how Sioux Falls gets back into this game. Plays like that.
Tyree will go under center this time. A 3-3 nickel look. Tyree, quarterback sneak, and no fooling the defense this time as Tyree has to peel himself off of that cold tundra floor after the hit laid on him by BJ Lovelace.
Yeah, it's not often do you see a quarterback sneak. Sometimes a draw if we have the right, kind of quarterback, but it doesn't work at all in this one. 2nd and 10 for Sioux Falls.
Run straight out of Sioux Falls here on 2nd and 10. Tyree gonna look for the slant pattern. No, looking for the go route near side, nearly taken away by Cody Griffin. He was again stride for stride with Marion.
Yeah, and Griffin throughout this game has had a tough task in trying to cover the deep threat in K. Marion. And right now, the last 2 targets that have been deep Marion's way, Cody has been there, like you said, stride for stride. And he needs to continue doing that, especially on this 3rd and 10. This one's a big one.
They'll flip the gun straight package as Northwood Stadium gets loud. Tyree, middle, caught, leaning forward. They will not give the receiver the first down. That was close by A.J. Warren.
Yeah, if I am the Sioux Falls coaching staff in this scenario, I'm either going for it on 4th and inches or I'm challenging that baby there because that was pretty darn close.
It looked like they were trying out the offense, but then all of a sudden McGee throws the red hanky, and we will take a look as well as our 62 partner. I think this might be a good call.
It all depends on the placement of the elbow, the football, or the knees. Let's take a closer look here. That's close. Look at the knees on this one here. Where are the knees landing?
Much better angle knee. No, it's an imaginary line, but it's close. R62 will pass his judgment.
After review, the call on the field is overturned.
It looks like Sioux Falls gets a better spot. No timeout is called or used for the Sparrows, and I think they've got a first down. Yes, they do.
And that's big here for Sioux Falls. Now they don't have to settle for a field goal. It continues moving the chains for them. Fantastic call from Jason McGee to throw that challenge.
What's 1st and 10 inside the 20 to the 17. Split backfield, Tyree under center. Quick drop, has time, has to dump it off over the middle. Axel Raven will bring down the ball carrier at the 12.
And again, Tyree was looking deep on that pass, and we saw it earlier in this first quarter where they had their dump off to Harrison, and it resulted in a decent 5 yards. And again, gets them 5 yards on that check down.
High formation, 2 wideouts to the right. 2nd and 5 for Sioux Falls. 5-step drop, swing pass right side. Williams up the sideline. First down to about the 5-yard line.
And here's the first time that we've seen this scenario here. Sioux Falls in a goal line situation here at the 5-yard line. This is going to be interesting how Sioux Falls approaches this because it's been a while since Minnesota has defended their goal line here, probably back until the first drive of this game here. So let's see what Sioux Falls can conjure up.
They had one in the first drive and one in the very last drive of the first half. Williams gets this swing pass but spun out of bounds at the line of scrimmage, no gain.
Yeah, and that one's a tough one because if you're going to throw that swing pass, you really have to know where your running back is between him and the sideline, and that throw was just too late. You got to make that decision quicker.
Now it's 2nd and goal where the defense clamps down on Sioux Falls. Corners approaching closer to the wide receivers. Pass is bobbled again Johnny Bravo can't wrap his hands around the football.
Man, these secondaries have had a tough time throughout this game trying to grab interceptions. It's been a story for Derek Meerkat, and now let's throw in Johnny Bravo to the conversation of should have had interceptions in this game. Just perfectly read right in the face of Terrazas, gets in front of him, should have grabbed that pick.
An old Vikings coach used to have his players train out in the cold and the snow so they'd be used to playing in such perilous conditions. Might have to go back to that old school way of thinking. 3rd and goal now. Here for the Sparrows. Split backs, 3 wide. Tyree. Minnesota send the blitz over the middle. That is caught. Touchdown. Noe Terrazas. Late hit coming as well.
Man, and that's a big step forward for Sioux Falls to come back in this game. We know that's going to be a late hit. Don't worry about that, R62. But this is huge. Now it's dwindling this big Minnesota lead that they had. That Minnesota team, or this Sioux Falls team, has quickly turned things around here and has made this a football game. Don't go anywhere. We got ourselves a 12-point game right now.
A 28-3 lead with 2 minutes to go in the first half is now down to 12. Minnesota getting closer and closer to being on the hot seat here tonight. Josh Black. Attack on the extra point to make it an 11-point ball game, and he does add the extra point. 28-17. Sioux Falls trying to make this one a ball game. Still plenty of time to go. It seemed like, partner, that this third quarter was just sputtering around, and finally we have our first score of the second half. After 4 punts and a fumble, all of a sudden Sioux Falls is back on the board, and Adam Banks will take it out of the end zone from about 3 steps backward there. Banks to about the 23-yard line. And we'll quickly go back up to Vancouver, not Toronto, for this next game break.
Remember that shootout I was talking about, Tyler? Well, the teams haven't scored since that last game update until now. Robert Redford stopped in the end zone. Atlanta leads 12-6 in a surprising defensive slugfest. Back to you guys in Minnesota.
Thanks as always, Cam. Reno will look to throw over the middle. That is hot. There we go, Minnesota. It's Jay Taylor getting Minnesota well beyond their shadow of their own goalpost, what seems like forever.
Yeah, and it must have been just, seeing that opposing end, or seeing their own end zone just behind them might have been a little bit of a boogeyman complex for them. So now, once they get, well outside of that, they get themselves one pass right away to move themselves about 23 yards on that play. Quick first down for Minnesota.
Now will they go back to the air here on this first down? Watch set left side, quick drop. They will go to Jason France on the out route. He's out of a tackle, turning upfield, and I think he stepped out of bounds. They will rule him out of bounds at the 37-yard line.
Yeah, it's another just quick play. Get it to Jason France. Great job again, going to that sideline and making sure that he had enough space to turn his body and keep moving. Another easy and quick first down for Minnesota.
Minnesota will get the snap off in time. This will be the final play. France gets the catch inside the 25-yard line, and another first down as we hit the fourth quarter. 4s, 12s, 68s, 86s will go up in chat. And here in St. Paul at Northwood Stadium, this is the Simulation Football League right here on YouTube. We pause for station identification. Don't turn that radio dial.
Of the Simulation Football League is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or account of the game without the express written consent of the league office is prohibited.
Tyler Falk and Brett Solberg bringing you Sunday night SFL action. This is Border Battle number 2 between the Minnesota Legend and the Sioux Falls Sparrows here in week 3 of the Simulation Football League. Great to have you with us for what should be an exciting conclusion to tonight's ball game. Hand up the middle, it's Comisac, the fullback, who has gotten nearly double the amount of carries as the tailback, but the yardage still falls in favor of Colin Hart.
Yeah, with Comisac, trying to get these big gut plays here, and Sioux Falls has adapted very well in this second half and basically neutralizing Comisac whenever they can. He's only had a couple of 5+ yard plays here.
I'll go with a pass, swing pass near side. Hart turning upfield inside the 20 and turned awkwardly at the 17-yard line, but springs back up to his feet, no problem.
Yeah, and they'll take that, Minnesota, because now they're inside the 20 red zone area. They've done wonders so far in the first 2 games. When it comes to red zone offenses, whether it ends in field goals or touchdowns, they get points out of this.
3rd and short, any points would be possible. Last time they were in field goal range, they threw an interception. They had it fumbled. But this time, Hart will squeeze through the coverage and find a first down.
Yeah, and squeeze through is right, because there wasn't a lot of space for Colin Hart to get through. But his small frame was just enough to get enough of himself past the first down marker.
Go from one heavy set to another. This time an offset eye with 2 tight ends. They'll go stretch play with Colin Hart up the left side and eventually plastered by Jay Ringgold at the 4.
And you have to think to yourself, if Colin Hart didn't have that little hesitation juke step that he wanted to hit on that defender, maybe he would have gotten a touchdown. But I think Minnesota is just fine with, slowing things down here and trying to shed as much clock before Sioux Falls' offense can get back out on the field.
Backs 2 wide receivers. Coverage is all in the end zone. Awaiting this pass. Pass right side. Caught at the line to gain, but knocked backward. Is Jay Taylor back a yard behind the line to gain, and it'll be 3rd and short.
And this one's, again, another close call on whether that hit the first down marker or not. This one ain't going to matter too much, not challengeable personally. So they're gonna handle this on 3rd and 1.
From the 2-yard line. Can get it maybe to the half-yard line for a first, but they might go touchdown here. Handoff, middle, it is in! Touchdown, Chris Comisac! The fullback gets a hat trick of touchdowns!
And that's got to be cathartic for Minnesota, because they were struggling in this second half. And finally, once they got out of the shadow of their own end zone to start this drive here, they finally could get that ball moving forward, and it ends up with Chris Comisac getting his 3rd. The hats are flying out of Minnesota right now with his 3rd touchdown. Now the lead is 34-17.
The 4-drive drought is over, where they had an interception, fumble, and 2 punts. It's Chris Comisac who gets them off the schneid here and gets them back on the board with 6 points. Mickey Malillo's kick is up and good for 7, and the lead stretches out just a little bit further back. It's 35-17. And we want to remind you that 8 p.m. Music is unrivaled music to bring your stories to life, inspiring every production with the world's most robust and constantly refreshed music collection, state-of-the-art technology, and world-class customer service. 8 p.m. Music is the official soundtrack of the Simulation Football League. To explore their library and to find the perfect tracks for your projects, visit 8pmmusic.com. DJ Levy, always a dangerous return man, can get this one only out to about the 28-yard line. Now, both teams trading scores here on their last possessions partner. Our game kind of now hangs in the balance with what Sioux Falls does here on this drive.
Yeah, and no matter what this drive is end result is, Sioux Falls is wanting a score, whether it be a field goal or a touchdown, for sure.
Quick drop for Tyree, looking over the middle to a sliding receiver that is hauled in by Noe Terrazas.
Yeah, and here's what Sioux Falls is going to want to do in this 4th quarter. Is going to be passes like that. Get that ball slung once your receivers pass the first down marker. See who's open the most. That's what we're going to see out of Julian Tyree, and this might involve a heavy dose of K. Marion.
Minnesota piling almost everybody in. That was a 9 guys in the box. Blitz coming. Tyree is mauled in the backfield. It's a massive combination of humanity in on the sack. They'll say Angela Meerkat led the charge.
Get Angela Meerkat in there. I think Mark Mello got a touch of that as well. Maybe Buster Johnson in there too. But that defensive line did their work to get the sack.
Oh, second and a cornfield here for the Sparrows. Tyree, floater, deep, left side, K. Marion, and they go 2 cornfields for a first down.
Yeah, and that's what Sioux Falls won on that first play, but was covered really well by Cody Griffin, who's done a great job. But this time, a little bit of a misstep on that post route, and it results in Marion getting just open enough to get that catch and hauling a good first down here for Sioux Falls.
If we're going to nitpick just a little bit, Tyree, maybe just a little bit more touch on the ball, and Marion's gone to the house. It looked like it was a cover 0 play for Minnesota's defense, and Marion might have been gone. Tyree, another quick drop. Pressure coming again, another sack. Second one of the drive, and this time it is Mark Mello tag teaming with Max Knight. 4 sacks in the ball game for the legend.
Man, and you know, the short drops has been really killing Julian Tyree because it's just eliminating any pocket that he could have. Just a simple 5-step could have probably gave him an extra second or two to, you know, settle himself and throw the football, but these 1-step drops ain't gonna work.
2nd and 14 now. Here for Sioux Falls, quick hitter left side. That's the tight end for the Sioux. Picks up about 5 to the 37 of Minnesota.
Yeah, and it felt like regardless on that play, Sioux Falls was just going to look short and try to settle themselves for a 3rd and long situation here, which isn't ideal because that still kicks himself out of field goal range, so they can't get any points if they fail the conversion on this one. But I do like the trips bunch that are on that right side there.
Mark Mello picking up sack number 100. Congrats to Mark Mello, who's also in our stats truck. Floater over the middle, knocked aside, still pummeled, and Minnesota still can't get an interception. What's it going to take for the legend to pick them all off?
Do you need your hands to get warm? Do we need to give it to you on a silver platter? Maybe you want a green platter since you want to, you know, stick with your team colors here, but this is the 5th time that we've talked about should have had interceptions that maybe, I wouldn't say cost this game, but, you know, maybe could have turned around a couple points.
You know, Axel Raven brings up a pretty good point as this punt will go into the end zone. Minnesota will start with a touchback. Maybe the legend were watching the University of Minnesota's volleyball team this past week. Minnesota volleyball, one of the bright spots in Minnesota athletics for years and years, winning numerous national championships. And now they need to get their minds back on the task at hand and play some football. 2 wideouts off to the right, offset I in the direction of the near side. They go an I up the middle. Hart will go backward. Taken down by Derek Williams, shooting through the A gap.
And the objective here for Minnesota is that we're taking down to 5.5 left in this game is to just get 3 points. If they get themselves a field goal and Mickey Melillo can drill one from, say, 35 to 45 yards out, that could seal the deal here for Minnesota.
2nd and 12. They'll go Hart's way again, but nothing doing. John Barnhart gets in the backfield in a hurry, and Hart has lost 5 yards on 2 plays.
And fantastic pressure from Sioux Falls on just those 2 plays, knowing that Minnesota has been run happy throughout this second half. So why not pursue as many guys as you can possible, including a cornerback blitz with John Barnhart getting that TFL.
Back-to-back TFLs. They only had 2 in the game before that. Reno under pressure, and down goes Higo. A 3rd TFL on the drive, and it's a big sack for the Sparrows.
Yeah, and again, it's a cornerback blitz, but this time from the dime back in Nathan Barnett getting himself involved a little bit later on. You thought that Johnny Reno had just enough time to get that football out, But now, for the third time in this game, Minnesota has to punt the football in their own end zone.
And it looks like the Sparrows are going to send a little bit of heat in the direction of Ryan Platt, who will take all the time that is allotted to him as they try and milk as much clock as possible. Punt is away. It's a short one. Levy will call for a fair catch at the 37-yard line with 4 minutes and 12 seconds to go. And we want to remind you, don't leave the stream without joining our Discord server. There's so much more to do in the SFL than just being a player. Join to check out content for teams and about the league created by the community. Participate in pick'em games, play SFL fantasy football, and test your skills in the survivor pool. To join our server, visit simulationfl.net and click on the Discord icon at the top banner. The SFL community is 2,000 strong. We'll see you there as volleyball set number 6 falls to the turf immaculately.
Man, and again, it's just great coverage from the Minnesota secondary here. I was looking at the top of the screen mostly to see if Kay Mary can get herself open, because she had herself on an in and out that turned into a go route on that left side, but it just doesn't work out. They go on the right side, and again, dropsies one more time for Minnesota.
Tyree alone in the gun here on 2nd and 10. Slants over the middle. Another bobble. Another. Come on! Please! Please take the rubber gloves off and stick them on those hands. Pick a football, please.
Man, if you're making Tyler Fulks exasperated by how many times you've dropped interceptions, then it might be time to, start looking at the illegal stuff. Maybe get Michael's secret stuff from Space Jam to help you grab those interceptions. Man, it's got to be frustrating for Minnesota secondary.
5 wide receivers. How many people will touch the ball and not catch it on this play? Snap. Here's Tyree. Corner out near side. Oh, boss! Oh, what a catch from Terrazas down to the 1-yard line.
Man, that looked like T. Higgins just from a little bit ago here.
Fantastic, but they're in a 5-wide set in a 1-yard situation. Tyree under pressure, floater over the middle. That one's knocked aside, and that time I'm okay with that one being knocked aside.
Yeah, that Sioux Falls was in a tough situation at the 1-yard line. Still had to go hurry up because you're down multiple possessions. So you had to find some type of short routes. You had an out route to the left side that might have worked, but maybe the defense was a little bit too close. But it still results in an interception here. But that ain't too bad for Sioux Falls. They can reset and choose the play set that they want and feel comfortable in.
Only one back in the backfield. 2 tight ends off to the right. Tyree looks for Williams.
Open.
And he's got it. Touchdown, Sioux Falls. And here they come back. They answer Minnesota with a touchdown of their own.
Man, that's big for them too, because it brings the deficit back down to 12. It's still 2 possessions at this point, but there's still plenty of time left in this game to get those 2 touchdowns. 3:39 can feel like an eternity if you can play your cards right. So let's see if Sioux Falls can respond defensively like they did in their last defensive drive and stop Minnesota 3 straight times.
Second receiving touchdown of the ball game for Jason Williams and Julian Tyree, who came into today's game with 3 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. The field goal will be denied as the snap was handled poorly and taken down behind the line, and it will remain a 35-23 ball game. And we're not done yet. Onside kick looming.
Now this one's a tricky decision whether you go for an ought with 3.5 left to go, but this might not be a bad idea if you can place that ball well.
Down by 12, need a good hop, and Minnesota's hands team almost continue the way of the defense, and they couldn't haul it in. Luckily, there is an offensive player out there in the way of Buchanan Simons to haul that one in, and we go back to Vancouver. Hey, Cam, can people over there in Canada catch balls better than here in Minnesota? I can't tell.
Depends on who you're rooting for. Christian Brown to Brett Killian, picked off by Jay Miraculous. It's now in the 4th quarter. Score's not updated. It's 12-9. Join us over there once you're done. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Cam. And it seems like Chris Komisak will be the sure hands man here in Minnesota. The fullback gets 2 or maybe just 1 yard.
Yeah, and Sioux Falls has to have him, placed a target on his chest right now, because that's that's got to be where Minnesota's probably going to go, at least for first and second downs, whether it be to Comisac or Hart. They're going to run it down to you, see if they can get first downs that way. But Sioux Falls has come to the test in this last 5 minutes here.
Only down by 12, under 3 minutes to go on the clock. And off near side. Hart cannot escape this tackle by Derek Williams, and they'll go right back to where they started the drive.
Man, and you see that yards per carry just drop ever so slowly for Colin Hart. Aside from, maybe 2 or 3 big plays that Colin Hart's had, he's been basically neutralized through the rest of this game on the ground. Great job from Sioux Falls to adjust, adapt, and overcome.
Potentially the final play before we hit the 2-minute warning. Reno under center. He's going to look to throw right side. Jason France wide open and turning upfield and staying in bounds crucially to get the first down and to wind the clock down to 2 minutes to go, partner. This one, it's all on what Minnesota can do in the next couple of plays. Will they be able to get a field goal to really put Sioux Falls under pressure, or will the Sparrows find some way back in this football game? 35-23, Minnesota with the lead. Come right back. 2 minutes to go. You're watching SFL Sunday Night Football on YouTube. Final 2 minutes of regulation. Tyler Falk, Brett Solberg in the booth. A special shout out to Eddie Gage and Mark Bello in our stats truck for helping us sound smarter than we actually are all evening long. And for Cam and Irvine back at SFL Studios. And here comes Chris Thomas back out of what seems to be 4 tackles and picks up 9.5 yards. The fullback is having a monster day.
And that's the Chris Comisac I saw in Buffalo, Queen City, just demolishing any which way that he can to get those yards. We haven't seen much out of that because the offensive line has done so well in opening up gaps for both running backs. This time, Sioux Falls brings in the pressure, and Comisac does a great job to overcome it, shed tackles, and get that 9.5.
Second inches, Sioux Falls need to stop this play in order to hold on to a shred of hope, and it's Comisac again, and that will get them the first down. Sioux Falls call their second and 3 timeouts, but it might be too little, too late, and Minnesota will take border battle number 2.
Yeah, now that one was a crucial first down. If they didn't get any yardage out of that, that could have just blown the sails right into Minnesota for third down, which Sioux Falls has done pretty good to defend in the second half. But they get the first down, and now they can shed that one timeout left from Sioux Falls and hopefully the rest of the game.
Comisac again with the call. 3 straight fullback dives, and Sioux Falls has yet to have an answer for it as they call their final timeout.
Yeah, that must be a result of Sioux Falls' defense finally getting just tired enough so that Comisac can start running through the defense and getting himself huge yards out of this. Big showing from Chris Comisac here tonight.
And it looks like Minnesota will just have a shred of mercy for the Sparrows as Reno takes a knee to begin winding down the clock, partner, and we've got a little extra time to go over everything that's happened tonight. It will end up in Minnesota leading the way in the Central Division, and Sioux Falls falls the back of that division after tonight's result.
Yeah, and Minnesota needed that win really bad because he didn't want to have that huge logjam in the division with everyone basically breathing down your neck. Now you have that separation between the other teams, and you can say to yourselves, hey, we're division leaders 1 quarter through the season. Let's see what you can do the rest of the way.
Reno's potentially last play of the football game is over with a kneel down, a little bit of chippiness from the linemen, as what you can expect from a heated rivalry game. These teams, of course, only have played twice, but both games have been fantastic. The first one only a 2-point difference between the two sides. Minnesota demonstrating some great home cooking and showing the other side of Minnesota Nice and taking it to their rivals Sparrows. Vicky Malillo's 32-yard field goal is up and good, and the lead will stretch out to 15, 38-23. And Sioux Falls will have about 38 seconds to maybe get some points here in the last few seconds.
And the big thing here for Minnesota, this will be their 6th straight win at home. They're going to push themselves to 7-1 through this first season and a bit of Minnesota's history, which is a great start to their franchise at home, making it a fortress.
And though it might be a low number compared to all of the other well-known and established franchises, with the win tonight, Minnesota will reach their 10th win in franchise history. Levy on the return gets it out to the 25-yard line and will be stopped, and the offense will trot out for the last 23 seconds of the ballgame.
Yeah, and for Sioux Falls, I say no risk at this point. Just either go with plays you haven't tried yet, or you just try to pad some stats here and try to go deep with your receivers. I think I would go deep.
They do trot out 5 wide receivers. Expect a go route from K. Marion, top of your screen. There she goes. Tyree looking corner route. That one is caught. Taken down by Cody Griffin just before the 50-yard line. Sioux Falls hurry back to the line, trying to spike the ball. Under 10 seconds to go. Tyree will snap it. 8 seconds left on the clock as the ball hits the ground.
Yeah, that might give them 2 plays to kind of, figure out what they want to do here. But don't be surprised if this one they just go with Hail Gary and see if they can get themselves, a touchdown out of it.
Here they trot back to the line. They come out in the Hail Mary formation once, maybe 2 times here tonight. Minnesota sent 4, blitz incoming. Tyree fires it into the sky. That one's still bobbled. Minnesota still doesn't have hands on defense, and we have 1 second to go.
Oh, they have one more opportunity to see if they can get themselves an interception here, Minnesota. But, yeah, again, 4th time. Derek Meerkat, got to be ready for those. Maybe it's time, once they get into, their next practice come Monday, that they're going to have a lot of practice catching footballs in the cold.
I don't know what to tell you, partner, but this game could be a lot more lopsided than it actually is if Minnesota's defense could have hauled in a few interceptions tonight. But we'll see what happens here. They get one more shot at it, both offense and defense. Pressure coming, but it won't matter. In comes the tackle from the right-hand side. Another sack for the Minnesota defense, and that's your ball game. 38-23, Minnesota in another fantastic quarter battle show.
Yeah, and it was great work from Minnesota, even though it seemed like their offense kind of dried up a little bit there. They still had 145 total yards, and they really relied on their passing game after the rushing game kind of, helped out in that first half. But Sioux Falls, you have to commend them for, still playing through after being down 28-3, a huge deficit for any team no matter what, and making this a football game. There's that never say die attitude from Sioux Falls that we know, and seeing that second half performance out of them and seeing them really rely on that passing game that worked out really well, it's good stuff from them. So this is stuff that you can mark on the chalkboard. It's good things coming into next week for them.
And it had to be said, as Chris Komisak got one of his trio of touchdowns right here, I think we see a fullback get player of the game tonight, partner. What about you?
Please, for the love of God, pundits, please. Komisak played one hell of a game. He deserves POG honors. Even though Colin Hart had a fantastic game, he'd probably be my second player of the game. You gotta give it to Komisak after all the effort that he had in that second half.
And how about the defensive line for Minnesota? That would be 5 total sacks for the defense. And they kept Julian Tyree in a stupor all night long. And he still had a fantastic game. No interceptions where there could have been 8 or 9 of them. But it ultimately would not end in the Sioux Falls Sparrows' favor. Come on, Chris Komisak. Come on. Come on! Colin Hart, we love you, bud. We wanted to see Chris Kovasak, but you played well as well. 143 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 5 total rushing touchdowns on the day for Minnesota. And that will do it for tonight. Tomorrow night, Monday Night Spectacular. We'll see you then. For everybody in the booth, for Eddie Gage and Mark Mello and Stats, and my partner Brett Solberg, I've been Tyler Falk. We'll see you next time. Until then, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
Bedu.